Hello everyone, this is Mr. Muhammad Salama and I'm going to discuss with you the vocabulary of Unit 2 of the book, your course book Aim High 6. Unit 2 title is called Stories. The text here is about a story which is called Lord of the Flies. But before we start reading the story or the brief story here, you have to work with your partner and imagine you and a group of friends of you got marooned or got isolated on a small island in the middle of the ocean. What would you do in order to survive? And what would you do to get rescued? What rules, if you have rules, would you establish? And how would you and your friends and the group of people with you agree on them? Think of that and try to discuss these ideas with your partner. Now pause the video for a while till you finish reading. We are here on page 12 and page 13. Okay? Now after you completed the reading, you have to listen again to the text to enhance your reading and your pronunciation. Listen up.
Unit 2, page 12. Read. Exercise 2. "Let him have the conch!" shouted Piggy. "Let him have it!" At last, Ralph induced him to hold the shell, but by then the blow of laughter had taken away the child's voice. Piggy knelt by him, one hand on the great shell, listening and interpreting to the assembly. "He wants to know what you're going to do about the snake thing." Ralph laughed, and the other boys laughed with him. The small boy twisted further into himself. "Tell us about the snake thing." "Now he says it was a beastie." "Beastie?" "A snake thing, ever so big. He saw it." "Where?" "In the woods." Either the wandering breezes or perhaps the decline of the sun allowed a little coolness to lie under the trees. The boys felt it and stirred restlessly. "You couldn't have a beastie, a snake thing, on an island this size," Ralph explained kindly. "You only get them in big countries, like Africa or India." Murmur, and the grave nodding of heads. "He says the beastie came in the dark. Then he couldn't see it." Laughter and cheers. "Did you hear that? Says he saw the thing in the dark." "He still says he saw the beastie. It came and went away again, and came back and wanted to eat him. He was dreaming." Laughing, Ralph looked for confirmation round the ring of faces. The older boys agreed, but here and there among the little ones there was the dubiety that required more than rational assurance. "He must have had a nightmare, stumbling about among all those creepers." More grave nodding. They knew about nightmares. "He says he saw the beastie, the snake thing, and will it come back tonight?" "But there isn't a beastie. He says in the morning it turned into them things like ropes in the trees and hung in the branches. He says, will it come back tonight? But there isn't a beastie." There was no laughter at all now, and more grave watching. Ralph pushed both hands through his hair and looked at the little boy in mixed amusement and exasperation. Jack seized the conch. "Ralph's right, of course. There isn't a snake thing. But if there was a snake, we'd hunt it and kill it. We're going to hunt pigs to get meat for everybody. And we'll look for the snake too." "But there isn't a snake." "We'll make sure when we go hunting." Ralph was annoyed and, for the moment, defeated. He felt himself facing something ungraspable. The eyes that looked so intently at him were without humour. "But there isn't a beast!" Something he had not known compelled him to make the point loudly and again. But I tell you, there isn't a beast! The assembly was silent. Ralph lifted the conch again, and his good humour came back as he thought of what he had to say next. Now, we come to the most important thing. I've been thinking. I was thinking while we were climbing the mountain. He flashed a conspiratorial grin at the other two. And on the beach just now. This is what I thought. We want to have fun, and we want to be rescued. The passionate noise of agreement from the assembly hit him like a wave, and he lost his thread. He thought again. We want to be rescued, and of course we shall be rescued. Voices babbled. The simple statement, unbacked by any proof but the weight of Ralph's new authority, brought light and happiness. He had to wave the conch before he could make them hear him. My father's in the Navy. He said there aren't any unknown islands left. He says the Queen has a big room full of maps, and all the islands in the world are drawn there. So the Queen's got a picture of this island. Again came the sounds of cheerfulness and better heart. And sooner or later, a ship will put in here. It might even be Daddy's ship. So you see, sooner or later, we shall be rescued. He paused, with the point made. The assembly was lifted towards safety by his words. They liked and now respected him. Spontaneously they began to clap, and presently the platform was loud with applause. Ralph flushed, looking sideways at Piggy's open admiration, and then the other way at Jack, who was smirking and showing that he too knew how to clap. Ralph waved the conch. Shut up! Wait! Listen! He went on in the silence, borne on his triumph. There's another thing. We can help them to find us. If a ship comes near the island, they may not notice us. So we must make smoke on top of the mountain. We must make a fire. A fire! Make a fire! At once, half the boys were on their feet. Jack clamoured among them, the conch forgotten. Come on! Follow me! The space under the palm trees was full of noise and movement. Ralph was on his feet too, shouting for quiet, but no one heard him. All at once, the crowd swayed towards the island and were gone, following Jack. Even the tiny children went and did their best among the leaves and broken branches. Ralph was left holding the conch, with no one but Piggy. Piggy's breathing was quite restored. Like kids, he said scornfully. Acting like a crowd of kids. Ralph looked at him doubtfully and laid the conch on the tree trunk. I bet it's gone tea time, said Piggy. What do they think they're going to do on that mountain? He caressed the shell respectfully, then stopped and looked up. Ralph! Hey, where are you going? Ralph was already clambering over the first smashed swathes of the scar. A long way ahead of him was crashing and laughter. Piggy watched him in disgust. Like a crowd of kids. He sighed, bent, and laced up his shoes. The noise of the errant assembly faded up the mountain. Then, with the martyred expression of a parent who has to keep up with the senseless ebullience of the children, he picked up the conch, turned towards the forest, and began to pick his way over the tumbled scar. A long way ahead of him was crashing and laughter. Piggy watched him in disgust. Like a crowd of kids.
Okay, after listening, we have here exercise 1 on page number 13, the vocabulary. Here we have definitions of each highlighted word, but we have here to match each highlighted word with its definition. Number 1, smiling in an irritating, silly or self-satisfied manner. From the highlighted words, this word is smirking. Number 2, made a slight physical movement. This is called stirred. Stirred. Number 3, forced. Forced means compelled. Number 4, being unsure about something. It means dubiety. Dubiety. Number 5, not able to be understood. It means here from the highlighted words, ungraspable. Number 6, serious. It means grave. Number 7, succeeded in persuading someone to do something. Induced. The word here is induced, number 7. Number 8, as if sharing a secret. Number 8 is conspiratorial. Conspiratorial is number 8. Number 9, having made sacrifices or suffered for others. Number 9, the answer is martyred. Martyred. Number 10, a feeling of aggravation and annoyance. Number 10 is exasperation. Exasperation. Number 11, without respect. Without respect in a contemptuous manner. Without respect in a contemptuous manner. Number 11 is scornfully. Scornfully. Number 12, a lingering mark of damage or injury. This is called scar. Scar. Number 13, shouted loudly and insistently. This is called clamored. Number 14, overflowing with eager enjoyment and enthusiasm. The answer here is number 14 is ebullience. Ebullience. The last one, number 15, stopped understanding what you were doing or saying through lack of concentration or complication. The answer here is lose his thread. To lose someone's thread. Okay, on page 14 we have here in exercise 1 an application on the vocabulary, the 15 highlighted words in the previous lesson. He wants us to use one of these words inside the box to fill in the gaps. Number 1, the delighted audience, space, for an encore from the wonderful comedian. The delighted audience shouted. Shouted, it means what? Shouted here, it means clamored. Number 1 is clamored. Number 2, the politician spoke, space, of the journalists who were gathered outside waiting to interview him. The politician spoke badly. So we are going to use the word scornfully in number 2. Spoke scornfully. Number 3, where the plane crashed, it left a huge space of broken trees and ripped earth through the forest. Plane crashed, it left a huge scar of broken trees. In number 4, a warm breeze spaced the trees as the group walked through the forest. A warm breeze moved. Moved here, it means stirred. Stirred. Number 4, stirred. Number 5, the girls huddled together and whispered in a what manner? In a secret manner. Secret here means what? Conspiratorial. Conspiratorial manner. Number 6, he crumpled the paper and threw it on the floor in what? After trying to come up with an ending for his story. In irritation, in anger, it means here exasperation. Exasperation. Number 7, their faces became what? As they listened to the tear-jerking tale. Their faces became serious And the synonym of the word serious is grave. Their faces became grave. Number 8, the young mother sighed with a what expression as she bent to pick up all the children's clothes off the floor yet again. What expression? I need here an adjective. A sacrificing. The answer will be martyred. Martyred expression. Number 9, he started telling us a funny story about what happened that day, but then the phone rang and he spaced. Number 9, he forgot what he was saying, so he lost his thread. Number 10, he was what? By a strong feeling of injustice to write the newspaper article about factory employees working in terrible conditions. Number 10, he was forced. He was compelled. So the word here is compelled, which means forced. Number 11, after a morning sitting in class concentrating, the young children's space here appeared as they ran excitedly around the playground. Number 11, the children's ebullience. The children's ebullience appeared as they ran excitedly around the playground. Number 12, she was struggling to follow what he was saying, and her what was written all over her face. And her what was written on her face. Number 12, dubiety. Number 13, we finally spaced him to wear the new outfit by telling him how good it looked. We finally persuaded or succeeded to persuade someone. It means, yes, induced. Number 14, they tried to understand the novel but found the intricacies of the plot space and impossible to follow. Number 4, the plot was what? Cannot be understood. So the word will be ungraspable. Number 15, the last one, we couldn't stand her because, as always, she couldn't stop space at the rest of the class when she had the best exam results yet again. She was boasting, she was showing off, like smirking. Yes, smirking. Alright, let me check our answers again. Number 1 was clamored. Number 2, scornfully. Number 3, scar. Number 4, stirred. Number 5, conspiratorial. Number 6, exasperation. Number 7, grave. Number 8, martyred. Number 9, lost his thread. Number 10, compelled. Number 11, ebullience. Number 12, dubiety. Number 13, induced. Number 14, ungraspable. Number 15, smirking. Page 14, extend exercise number 1. It talks about the compound adjectives. The United States has sent a peace force to the area to deal with the rebels. A peace what? A peace keep or a peacekeeping. A peacekeeping. Number 1 is peacekeeping. Number 2, I think my GP must be foreign, as he has such a strange what name? A strange sound or sounding name. A strange sounding name. Sounding. So number 3, the expedition was extremely ill what? And so they had to turn back just 3 days after they had left. The answer here is ill-equipped. You will use here the verb equip, and you should add to it PED. Number 4, the store had an eye what window display, an eye eye-catching. Eye-catching, displayed means attractive. Number 5, we arrived home absolutely petrified after our hair space drive through the blizzard. Our hair raising. A hair raising is something which is fearful. Okay, number 6, I don't mind babysitting for my nieces and nephews because they are very well. The word here is behave, the verb. So well behaved is the adjective. Number 7, the best thing about visiting my grandmother is her homemade bread. Number 8, the government has proposed some far-what changes, far-reaching changes which will affect the whole population. Turn to another part of this lesson, which is compound nouns. Compound nouns are nouns which are formed by joining an adjective and a noun. Like what? Like romantic comedy. Romantic is an adjective and comedy is a noun, so together they are compound nouns. Special effects, or by joining two nouns together, like box office, love story. In the second case, the first noun defines the second noun, so it functions as an adjective. We have here an application and we have to answer it. There is a matching between column from 1 to 8 and the other column is from A to H. We have to match. The first one is feature film. A feature film meaning.
Here's the definition of feature. A newspaper or magazine article or a broadcast program devoted to the
Feature film meaning.
Here's the definition of feature. A newspaper or
Feature film definition.
This is the definition of feature. A newspaper or magazine article or a broadcast program devoted to the treatment of a particular topic.
Number 2, shoestring. Shoestring means little. Shoestring budget. Number 3, opening sequence. Opening sequence means the opening scene. Number 4, heart throb. A heart throb means someone who is famous and loved by a lot of people. Number 5, blockbuster. Blockbuster means a success or a successful work. Number 6, road movie. A road movie is a movie that its story is located or set completely in a road or in a journey. Number 7, psychological thriller. Number 8, film buff. Besides 3, we need to use these compound nouns to fill in the gaps. Number 1 is done for us. Number 2, in a what, the main characters undertake a journey. In a road movie. Number 3, a what is a full-length film with a story. Number 3 is a feature film. Number 4, a film made on a what has very little fundings. A film made on a low budget or a shoestring budget has had very little fundings. Number 5, a what is an expert on cinema. An expert on cinema is a film buff. A film buff is an expert on cinema. Number 6, the first scene is known as the opening sequence. The opening sequence. Number 7, In a what, there is a mental or emotional conflict between the main characters. Number 7, in a psychological thriller. Number 8, a what is a famous actor who a lot of women find attractive, like a heartthrob. A heartthrob. Thank you for watching the video. See you next time. Goodbye.